Good day to you from Orlando, Florida, and the Florida Bar Convention. And we are honored here on In the Know on the Miami Community News Network. Our new president, Roland Sanchez Medina Jr., hailing from Coral Gables, Florida. And first of all, congratulations, Mr. President. A lot of responsibility you have on your plate now.
I was terrified up until I got to be sworn in. Now I figured I got to calm down. I've taken the mantle, and now I got to be professional, represent the very best of attorneys, such as yourself.
Okay, well, we appreciate that.
You'd be one of them.
And we're trying our best with that. One of the things that's been emphasized here with the educational sessions that we have is technology and using it, but using it in the right way.
And so the issue initially is, especially with respect to AI, is to make sure that if attorneys are using it, that they're aware of their ethical obligations. There's nothing about AI that's going to change their duty to the consumers and to their clients with respect to ethical duties. And so what becomes more important for me as we move forward, because we have in fact adopted some rules regarding the usage of AI, is to now, we've done that, how can lawyers use AI in a way that's going to be profitable and efficient and effective, and not unnecessarily restricting them from doing so just because it's a new technology.
And it's not always correct. I check it myself to make sure that it's right, and sometimes say, that's not the right answer, to see what, comes back. But the court's been very clear that we must make sure that this is all verified.
So they're hallucinations, right? And there's been actually case laws and actual instances where lawyers have used AI and they've come up with hallucinations referring to case law that doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's one of the obligations. If you're going to sign your name to a pleading and you haven't confirmed that it's the case law, the pleadings are accurate, you're going to get dinged by the Florida Bar. One of your obligations is, if you're going to sign your name to it, it's got to be truthful and accurate. And like I said, the Florida Bar is the leader in this category, in this area of the law.
We could have a lot of internal conversations amongst us about how we're going to use it, make sure it's done right. But one question I think the general public will have about this is, hey, wait a second, I received a bill for something that took X number of hours, and I did that, and I got it in 5 minutes.
All right.
So how are we going to handle that going forward in the service of our clients?
Well, since it is new technology, that's something that's a great question. But frankly, what we need to do is we're going to continue exploring the challenges that AI has and come up with ways to figure out what's the appropriate way to doing so. And I get it. I put in a couple of words and questions to AI. It spit something out. It took them 15 seconds. A lawyer's going to bill 2 hours for it. Does that make sense? And the Florida Bar realizes that. But at this point right now, we're not completely advanced enough in our research of AI to give you a definitive answer. But we will. AI is the 900-pound gorilla in the room with respect to technology and the practice of law. Like I said, the Florida law, we've always been a leader in this profession, the third largest bar in the country, and we will be leading in this area as well, too.
I think that technology and what we've seen coming out of the pandemic, as an example, Prevail and the technology that they use doing our depositions, that our public defender is using, and expediting that process, that it really is opening doors for more people to participate in our system. And what about that part of it that people, they can use their smartphone now? You may not need to drive to the courthouse. These, I think are things that are very beneficial.
Well, listen, things like Zoom, that was one of the first things that people turned to after the pandemic. That's actually improved the practice of law. It's improved the reduction in expenses that people have to pay to their attorneys. And we're not going to go back to days when everyone's got to be in attendance at a court, attending a court with their attorneys. And it's going to reduce their bill at the end of the day. But once again, I think that we have to be careful with the technology to make sure that we're not violating any ethical duties, that the people that are on the Zoom call or that are using technology are using it wisely and appropriately. And that's something, as I mentioned, the technology sometimes is moving a little bit faster than the regulation of it by the Florida Bar, but we will catch up, and everyone should have access to an attorney or to the law. And so that is also one of the overarching foundational issues that from our perspective as the Florida Bar, to make sure that everyone has access to it, and we make it easier and appropriate for people that are, let's say, can't pay for the big law firm, can't pay for the small law firm. And like I said, from the Florida Bar's perspective, we will make sure that that occurs, but all within the rules of the rules regulating the Florida bar.
In terms of what you just mentioned, we have such a diverse state, so many different languages, so many different people. I say one of our strengths is that we are America, in that we could be in one room, especially in our neighborhoods in South Florida, and people speak Spanish, English, they speak a Creole, a variety of different languages and different cultures. How do we make sure, and your mission in terms of making sure that there is inclusion and that all people get the justice, due process they deserve?
Well, listen, I agree with you, man. I live in Miami, and you can hear, obviously, Spanish, English, Portuguese, Italian, French, Hebrew. I mean, just so many languages. And part of what we do at the Florida Bar is, to the extent that we think there's a lot of areas or needs for people to understand traffic rules or the rights that they have as landlord tenant, we actually publish, not as much today, paper information, but we make it accessible on the website in the Florida Bar. Absolutely right. Places like South Florida, you have to do that. You have to have different languages. And we're, in fact, in every area, we make sure that anything that we give out to people in terms of information are obviously in English, in Spanish, and in Creole, in particular in South Florida.
This time next year, what would you want to then, when we do this again, 365 days, say, hey, Willard, this was one of my primary goals and missions, and this is what we've done?
Well, my primary goal is to say that I left the bar a little bit better than when I started, and that's number one. I'd like to focus on things to make sure that AI is a little bit more understood and the lawyers are using it effectively and in accordance with the rules regulating the Florida Bar. But I also want to make sure that lawyers are checking themselves, right? You know what it's like to be a lawyer. Well, I mean, you're just going on and on and on. One of the things that happens is, on top of every issues you have at home with your family, you've been thrust upon you is the additional problems and issues that your clients have. And it's not something that at the end of the day at 5:30 or 6 or 7 when lawyers end their day, that you just stop thinking about that. So, I think lawyers are under a great deal of stress. The relentlessness about the stress, I think, is something that's difficult to maneuver many times. So I want lawyers to be able to use the Florida Bar to access resources that we have and talk to somebody about the issues that they're facing, whether it's just depression, alcoholism, anything like that. And if at the end of the day I can say that I left the bar a little bit better than when I first started, I would be happy with my service.
We're all behind you. You're off to a great start on day one.
Thank you very much.
And, I'm always here for you to disseminate a message to the public and to move forward. And I'm very happy to see this day. And it's going to be an exciting year for you and for all of us who are members of the bar.
I like you very much, man. And any opportunities to get to exchange with you, I will do so. So thank you for what you do.
Okay. All right. Our new president of the Florida Bar on In the Know on the Miami Community News Network. And we will see you next time.